Yeah. I shared something in the last week that I want to pick up on and move it forward. There are 3 tests that every man has to pass in order for you to be qualified. We need to understand that the qualifications of God are not based on our works, but on his calling. This is very complex. Because marriage is made by God, we give people a marriage certificate before they are experts of marriage. But can you do that to a driving permit? Can you just find everybody walking on the street and you hand them a driving permit so that when a traffic man asks them, do you have a driving permit? They say, yeah, it's here, yet they don't know how to drive? Marriage is the only institution where people award certificates when they are not qualified. Why? Because the one that calls them into the institution of marriage qualifies them. Isn't it? If you're married and you have a marriage certificate, were you first a marriage expert for you to get a certificate? No, you are not a marriage expert, you got a certificate. There is a place within the qualification where our human effort is not key to the qualification. Scripture is very clear. It's not him who runs. Not him who does what? It's not him who runs. Neither, it doesn't say that, neither does food come to them who are wise. So sometimes when we see people who eat food, I know so many people who have degrees, yeah, but they cannot afford lunch. Right now, today is lunchtime. Right now it's lunchtime. They cannot afford lunch. They can't even afford the boda to move from their office to come here. But they are qualified. They have jobs. They are sitting in offices. If they don't sign your document, you can't go far. But they are broke. And there are also guys who are not qualified in anything. They do their funny things there. They sit in a kiosk and they are just there selling money. They don't even sell foreign money. They sell local money. You come there, you say you want change of 20K. They say we are going to take 500. Then you say it's okay. So he begins to change money there. By 11 o'clock, he has made 10,000 shillings. So he can afford lunch of 4K. The race is not to the swift. The battle, neither the battle to the strong, neither bread to the wise. No riches to men of understanding. No favor to men of skill, but time and chance happens to all things. Let me tell you, not everyone who thinks is wise can put food on the table. And by the way, there are fools who put food on the table and wise men can't. How many of you have seen Dikula? The guy is putting a pillow behind and another pillow where? And then a fake what? Beard. And then a guitar out of tune. Then he comes there and he has somebody pushing a bicycle for him. He also has an assistant and he goes around. Then he gets and people, Dikula. And then he says, okay, make 3,000 and I play for you. They collect 100. People begin to laugh. He's acting. But 3K gets into his pocket. Then he samples you. Then people begin to clap. Then he said, Ziwe Deko. Now I want 5,000. Now, that was a sample. Before you know it, people are pulling out 1K. Entertain us. And sometimes someone can say, I'm buying you 4 songs. So the man stands there and sings his 4 songs. Then there's another one who has some funny things dancing on a bicycle. And then he puts on music and they begin to do. And they pay him. He is not a man of understanding. Whatever he's doing is just funny. but he has food. And you find people who are qualified in all kinds of qualifications, they don't have food. It's there. Not, you, by the way, Nzikuru is not the fastest runner in Uganda. She's not. She just happened to run that day when there was no better person. So she used the last part of the scripture, time and chance. There was a time when the expert didn't show up, and she used the what? The chance. Those two things go together. When you have the time, you must use the chance. Yes. I may not be the best preacher, but there was a time when this building was vacant, and I came for it. Even if you're preaching and you have thousands of people, you can't have it. There was a time, I used the chance. You may be a very beautiful woman, or you may be a very beautiful woman. Very beautiful. They may even pour milk on you and someone can afford to drink it. But there was a time someone proposed to you to marry you. And you thought about it, and you thought about it, and you kept thinking about it. And the man ran out of time. So you lost him. Time and chance. That is one of the things missing there, which we need to add. Marriage does not come to beautiful women. I don't care. I'm already convinced of one thing. I know how to preach. So, your clapping is not going to dampen it or to confirm it. I'm convinced. By the time I come to stand here, I know I'm going to deliver a good sermon. So even if you don't clap, you're doing yourself a disadvantage. Hallelujah. The race is not to the swift. Tell your neighbor, it doesn't matter how fast you run. You might be the fastest, but there may be no chance to prove yourself. You may be the most beautiful, but there may be no chance to exhibit the beauty. You see, Esther, Queen Esther, used the chance she was given, which was how many days? 1. And by the way, it was so fake. How can someone prove your beauty in the darkness? Those guys didn't have electricity. Hey, it purely had to be a chance. Time was there, and there were thousands of girls, all of them dressed to their best, all of them treated to their best. But I guarantee you, Esther, the day Esther went to see the king, it was a night time. How can you choose a wife based on darkness? It wasn't there. She didn't have all day. The king was not there that you see this is project wife. I must give it all my time. And all day and night he's there worried. Last night was with someone else. Another day is with someone else. By the time Esther comes up, there might have been 300 interviews. All of them in the dark. So at that point, it was not beauty. If you want to prove me, you ask a man called Jacob. He saw in the morning, hey, this is not the one. But when darkness reigned, it was okay. Leah got the chance and utilized it. Most of us miss godly opportunities because we don't act when we have the time. And some of us think we are going to impress people on a second appearance. It's impossible. You cannot change the perception a person has about you on the first perception they have upon you on a second appearance. You can't change it. It takes so much to change the perception. So if I come across you as a con artist, even when I perform miracles, they will be fake. Because it's impossible to change the perception on a second appearance. So the race is not to the swift. And the battle is not won by the strong. Have you noticed in some of these World Cup games, I'm not a fan of football. I usually watch the last match and the last minutes. I don't have time to sit there and watch 32 matches, 90 minutes each. And I'm watching 22 people chasing a piece of leather with air in it. And they're trying to push it. You know, that's the highest level of madness. You know? You have a ball this size, maybe a 20th of the size of the goalpost, and then you have 22 people trying to get this thing into those 3 pieces of metal or wood, and then you have another group of people stopping them, and then you have others watching who is stopping legally and who is stopping illegally. So for me, World Cup, I watch the last 20 or 30 minutes. The very last, I just want to know who won. And how he won. I don't need to know the history. You know, this was a draw. You know, it took me a very long time to understand the P played, L lost, W won, D drew. What are the other letters? PTS points. It took me a very long time to know those things. But I used to see them and I would say anyway, I used to support Express once upon a time. Express is But when you look at that football match, the person who wins is not the strongest. Sometimes it's just a chance. The guy is passing and the ball does what? Shows up there and the guy is already looking where? So what does he do? Inside, because the goalkeeper is still feeling his finished. That's a chance. That's just a chance. Some of you are here by accident, but it's a chance that you're here. You didn't plan, you just had some people singing. Then you say, I don't have anywhere to go to sit. You know, even our city has no sitting places. So you just stray walking in the mall, and then you hear people singing, and then maybe peradventure someone tells you, come and pray. And you say, after all, you just pushed a squatted person. So you just come. So it's like that. It's not people who are swift who win. Even in the company where you work, people who make most money, if you are into this kind of percentages, are not the people who are very presentable, who come in suits every day. I was so shocked the first time I met a certain professor. I heard him say a certain word which stuck in my brain. He said, imagine. And I said, what is that? And the guy's English was so poor. Let us now sit. We are going to and I said, where have I come? And I waited, and everyone was saying, Professor. Then everyone was saying, that's the head of department. And I'm saying, but the guy doesn't know English. It doesn't matter. Chance happened to him that day. The ones who knew English were absent. They were absent. People who knew English that day did not show up. And by the way, your too much English cannot earn you a position. So you find that some of the people you work with who can't speak proper English, they can't even express themselves. They have no proper manners. They don't know how to dress. They're always dressing off. And you know, but when it comes to making money and winning over accounts, they are pros. The battle is not won by the strong. neither bread to the wise. That one we finished. Your riches to men of understanding. One time, I have a friend of mine, he's a businessman. I took him to China one day. But when he sat down to calculate, the way he was calculating money was wrong. It was wrong. You know, he began saying, he started telling me, I want to know how much money we are going to pay. We were staying together. We were staying together in the same hotel. And we were using a taxi. Yeah? So some days he would say, pay. I pay. Then when it comes to lunch, I pay. Then finally, he began saying, okay, I want to see how much money I need to give you. Like, because I paid for everything. He said, you pay. Then I kept all the receipts. Now for me, it was simple. Get all the receipts, add up all the money, divide by 2. The guy said, no, that's not how they count. There is a way it was so strange. I told him, no, sir. How many days I paid for your room? Each of our rooms was $30 a night. We've been here 6 days. That is, if you paid that rent, your own accommodation, you should have paid $180. Then we paid the taxi for this much. We paid this for this much. We are supposed to split. But the way the guy was calculating things, so I had to let him win. I had to let him win. I had to go by his method. I was losing a few dollars, but it was not that important. But the calculations were wrong. Now, these guys don't know how to calculate. But get what? They are getting rich. Haven't you ever gone to a shop and you sit there and the man doesn't know English and then they call him, boss, this man has come for this spare. He looks at you like this. Then he says, give it to me. He looks at it like this, looks back at you, looks at it. Then he gives you a figure. Random. Maybe he's calculated your suit. He doesn't even know what it is for. But it's there for what? For sale. Then the guy is looking at you like, I think let him give us 300. 300? Where do you get that money from? How do you arrive at that figure? That's it. Give us that one. There are things I have bought in this city and I've had to re-export them at a profit because the people who imported them didn't know the use. And the man just looks at you and says, all these things, say, give me $1 million. But you know they are worth 10 million. And you ask him, how do you arrive at that figure? He just looks like, but you know he's deceiving, you know. He's looking at the contents and you're sure he doesn't know the chemical language used on that thing. But you know what? The guy will give you those things at a very low price. But at the end of the day, he will still be rich, although he doesn't understand. And then you find those who calculate still falling in loss and closing companies. The guy will calculate everything. He will say, everything, the rent here is 400,000. 400. That means on every day we have to make profit of 400,000. So the first person who comes in the morning must pay the rent for the day. So you walk in, you buy something for 200,000, they sell it to you 600. And they tell you, you go around and see if you can find it elsewhere. And the guy calculates everything, he still falls in a loss. And you find one who arbitrarily says, The first money that comes into a shop, I don't chase it. So the first thing you need to do, if you're going to buy bulk stuff cheaply, you go to a shop and they tell you each thing is 50,000. You say, I thought it was 20. I wanted 20 units. And then the guy says, we don't chase money. Pay and go. That same guy prospers, and the one who calculates too much closes the shop because it has failed to make money. Riches do not necessarily come to men of understanding. That's why you will finish your degree, and the day you discover that your boss stopped in S2 or P7, you will be shocked. They don't understand. They don't know. They just walk in, I can fire you. And in your heart, you're saying, hey, you paid dearly for this foolish mistake. But the guy lives like that. He lives like that. And he prospers. And you have people who have studied, they know everything. But they cannot even open a workshop that makes matchboxes. They've studied all the chemistry in the world, but they can't make a matchbox. And the guy who didn't step in school, they don't even know the chemical combination. They only know if you mix 3 cups of this and 2 cups of this, and then you put them on pine sticks, they will make a matchbox. And the guy will have his own tree, and put them there to dry, and you'll have matchboxes ready. You who studied the combination, you are being employed as a quality controller. Tell your neighbor, I'm not like that. Riches don't come to men of understanding, no favor to men of skill. You know, if you look at this thing carefully, it will tell you that even if you're not the best runner, you can win. I have a cousin, a distant relative of mine. 2 years ago, or 3, he went into these MTN marathons. By the way, we have sports on Saturday. So this guy was among the people in the very front. When they said go, the guy who took off and looked behind, he had left them like a mile. He kept running. By the time he reached close to Bukoto, he was asking for water. When they made a turn like this, the guy was asking for glucose. Then the whole group that was running, you know, they were running like this. They overtook him. Scripture is being fulfilled. It's not how swift you run. It's not how swift you run. The guy was overtaken. He couldn't reach Kamucha. But when he ran, he left them a mile. And he in himself, he thought, today, you know, there are no runners. Mama! He didn't finish. By the time he gets to Wandegea, he has what? Muscle pulls. And is walking. So, the race is never won by the swift. You look at yourself. Look at how far you came. Look at how far you came. Now, I'm going to say something very, very bad here, but please bear with me. When human conception is taking place, the sperms are in two classes. They are the sperms which are XX and the sperms which are XY. Right? Now, the XY produces the boy. The XX produces the girl. Now, the XY swims very fast, but it dies quickly. The XY swims slowly, The XX swims slowly, but it has resilience of over 4 days. So, if you want a boy, you have to keep putting many X's often. Because they keep dying how many? Daily. If you want a girl, you do it once. And that resilience will assure you of a baby girl. Now some of you are thinking, oh, Pastor, how do you say those things on a pulpit? I say them from here. So if you're a woman, you know how you came about. By resilience. Now, still it's clear the race is not to the swift. When you arrive there and there is no egg, you're gone. You will win the race, but you can't fertilize. You get there panting, then you arrive at the finishing line. There is nothing. Then as you are there trying to say, oh, boom. Then there is this one walking like a tortoise. Meanwhile, the egg is also moving. Before you know it, they meet at the finishing line and conception takes place. So it's not how fast you run. I know many people who have risen up so fast, but then they got somewhere. When we were just out of campus, there are people who started driving. Immediately we left. But now they are footing. I know people who got jobs while we're still on campus. And right now they're still employed. They report 7:45. They leave. Sometimes you call them and say, I can't leave. Why? Oh, my boss has just added me a lot of work. And we, who were slow bloomers, we are retired. The race is not too swift. I know so many people who started prophesying early in life. A few months down the road, they lost it. And I know some of us who struggled. 3 years, you're waiting to speak in tongues. 3. And other guys are like speaking tongues like they're chewing these big things. Melting them. The children be it's like they're speaking in tongues like they're eating marshmallows. Eating marshmallows, yeah. And then for us, we're speaking dry English. When you get tired, you turn to Luganda. Now, the reverse. Is it true? They are speaking Mukama Katonda Tuyambe. For us, we are now speaking the marshmallow tongues. I know some of you are looking at me saying, Pastor, what are you trying to say? Simple. Bread doesn't come to the wise. Is it bad to be wise? No. Is it bad to be swift? No. Is it bad to have understanding? No. But they are not a guarantee. Most of the time, the swiftness, the strength, the wisdom, the understanding, the skill can stand in your way to break through. Because you think you've got it all together. You don't need God. But then there is another man who says, God, I am at a disadvantage. If you're starting on your marks, you're starting from negative. You still need to go over your personal history. Then you go over your tribal limitations. Then you go over your height issues. Then you go over your relationship background. Then you go over your religion. Meanwhile, guys are doing what? Running, and the cameras are on them. My God. Then some people, by the time they get on the beginning mark, they say, I am dead on arrival. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Keep that hope alive. You will be so shocked. All you need is what? Time? And how many chances? Not 2. How many? The first time I went to England, they gave me a chance of 2 minutes to give a testimony. The pastor looked at me and he said he was going to give me how many minutes? 2. He had invited me to preach. A man from South Africa showed up. Without notice, he switched. He said, well, we know this brother. He's from South Africa. He has preached here before. He will preach. All you do, just share a testimony. Their services last 1 hour. I went in a corner and I said, God, all I have is 2 minutes. Use my 2 minutes. The brother came. He preached. He made us laugh. He preached about a certain man, a Ugandan man. You remember the other boy who was raised by monkeys? And I said, I have even greeted this guy myself. Now this man is riding on a story. He's even changing locations. And he's completely disconnected. And I said, God, give me my chance. The guy finished and people clapped for him. And then they called me. You know, after they've served the cake, what else are you going to give? I just got there and I called. I said, well, there's somebody here, you're a prophet. Boom, off the chair. Another boom. Boom. Then the pastor says, it seems this is a man of God. We are going to have an evening service. He'll be preaching. The rest is history. All that happened was what? Chance. So don't fight with people who have chances. You die for what? 1 chance. Don't talk about your CV. When you get into that interview room, that's all you need. That's all you need. That's all you need. And when you get in there, don't reserve anything. Say it as it is. Say, when I arrived here, your reception needs a makeover. It doesn't fit the kind of organization you are. Because the perception I had while I was at the reception is so different from you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen I've met here. Before you know it, you're hired. Then asking, so what do we need to change? I will do that when I'm hired. So what will happen when we don't hire you? Well, you miss the thrill of working with me. What makes you so sure? And you tell them, I know in this world, I usually have 2 things. I usually have time and a chance. And that's the same thing. The ground is leveled. You make a mistake, give me the chance. You have the time, give me the chance. We'll see. No more interview. When you change the interview to your advantage. In an interview, you lose nothing if you blow your trumpet. Don't overblow it. Simanya, I am a high achiever and what? No. You look for a fault in their office. You see, that's what, how can you have an office like this with webs like that? How can they give you 0? At least you're observant. You have attention to detail. Hey. And when they ask you things in your CV and you tell them that I'm here, don't read the CV, read me. Just read me. I gave you the CV, you've had it for a month. I'm here in person, only 10 minutes. How do you expect me to impress you? You play the game. If they don't give you the job, you'll leave feeling happier that at least you gave them a run for their money. But you walk in like you've already lost. Hello, may I sit down? Really? They called you in. Don't even say, may I? Say, can I take a seat? Take charge. Yeah. Then when you sit down and say, how are you doing? American. Oh, yeah. Take charge. You have the time. Now they've accorded you the chance. Blow them out of their socks. How many tell you, will hear from you. You say, I hope it will be positive. And walk away. Feeling good. You can, even when you get a rejection letter, you don't feel that bad. But when you're trying to be nice and cut tears, and then you say, I'm trying to, and then they reject you, you've become nice and you've been rejected. Be yourself and enjoy every bit of it. You have the time, use the chance. Similar to these things you call dating. Don't go to a date and start talking about your uncle. Talk about yourself. You see, my uncle is a permanent secretary. You see, my uncle is a prime minister. You see, my uncle is a pilot. Talk about you. I'm not marrying your uncle. Talk about you. Where do you live? What's your aspiration? I'm falling in love with you, not your uncle, or your auntie, or your dad, or your mom. What have you done in the few years you've lived? What is to your name? Do you even have a toilet dug in your name? You're here in a hotel buying me food worth 100,000. Do you own a toilet? Do you own a toilet? Digging a toilet is 100,000. Building it is about 300,000. How can you tell me you have a plot and there's no toilet on it, and you're trying to date me in the most expensive restaurant? If you lost your job, are you going to live in a toilet? Those are the questions you need to ask. No, these ones, I feared, I'll ask the second time. Sometimes you don't have a second time. Then you tell the guy, if you don't have a toilet on that note, I'm not going to eat your food. Let's order water. I want to meet you again next week when the toilet is dark. Don't eat it. Don't be on the list. The girls ate my money, so and so ate, so and so ate. You have no toilet. But you're taking me in a restaurant and you're buying me food of 100K. You're mad. Tell the guy, let's take water. Tell waiter, I've canceled the order. Give us water. Finish the water and give the guy a deadline. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to call you back here. Better have a toilet dug up. Then you've walked yourself into a marriage. You're not going, is he going to call me again? He has to. If he doesn't, you have a reason to call me. Is a toilet dug? Ladies, I'm helping you by the way you're looking at me. Time and chance does what? Now, even to some of you, today was a chance. Today was a chance, and today is still a chance. Today is a chance to walk out of trouble, and it's still a chance to walk into it. There are people who have not been robbed yet, and they're just about to be robbed today. Someone tells you, find me at Sheraton, and they take your money just like that. Time and chance does what?